Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on channel 30 or 1030 on MTS, Westman Cable Channel 117, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, February the 4th. On the front page, we have our Manitoba Premier, Heather Stefanson, announcing some new restrictions. By Owen Devereaux. The Manitoba government has announced that it is lifting some of its pandemic restrictions. Premier Heather Stefanson and Dr. Brent Rusin, Chief Provincial Public Health Officer, made the announcement on Tuesday, February the 2nd. The new public health orders will come into effect at 12:01 a.m. on Tuesday, February the 8th, and will remain in place until Tuesday, February the 22nd. And it goes on to say, among the changes announced on February the 2nd, while the cap of 50% capacity with proof of vaccination at sporting venues remains in place, the previous maximum capacity of 250 people will be removed. The altered health orders will also allow recreation tournaments to resume. As well, private gatherings where everyone is fully vaccinated will be expanded to allow the household plus 25 others in indoor places and 50 people in outdoor places. More stringent restrictions are in place for private gatherings with individuals who are not vaccinated. However, these are also expanded from previous public health orders. Premier Stefanson said that based on current COVID-19 projections, the Manitoba government is taking a cautious path towards reducing public health restrictions over the next several weeks. She said, last week we chose to extend public health orders to ensure the COVID-19 situation in Manitoba was stabilizing or improving, and we can see that continues to be the case. This means we can be confident in moving forward with the next phase in our pandemic response, which is a gradual and cautious reopening. New public health orders will reduce restrictions over the next 2 weeks for private gatherings and begin a shift in how we address capacity limits and how and when we gather in public spaces. Dr. Brent Rusin, Chief Provincial Public Health Officer, said that the decision on this gradual relaxation is based upon improving trends and vaccination rates. We presented modeling last week that shows where that peak likely has been and the path forward. We redid those models and we're very likely peaked in eases and hospital admissions and peaking soon to admissions to ICU. Given where we are right now, if we don't see anything unexpected, that we're looking at a restriction-free Manitoba by the springtime. So that is good news. But this is bad news. I hate to report things like this, but it is news. Neepawa man faces charges related to luring and child pornography. A Neepawa man is facing more than 88 charges related to a child pornography, luring, and assault investigation. Manitoba's RCMP, Internet Child Exploitation Unit, or ICE, announced on Wednesday, January 26, that it has arrested 26-year-old Jamie Mary Audrey Centino. ICE noted that their investigation had determined that Centino was allegedly posing online as a teenage boy and speaking to young girls through Snapchat. According to the RCMP, he was requesting sexual photos from girls who were all between 11 and 17 years old. These communications occurred between March of 2019 and April of 2021. The accused had been previously arrested in March of 2018 for offenses including extortion, possession of child pornography, and 3 counts of luring. Centino was released from custody in 2018 with conditions to appear in Brandon Provincial Court, where the charges remain. Then in April 2021, Centino was involved in a traffic stop where he was found to be breaching his court-ordered release conditions. Investigators from ICE unit became involved, and he was arrested again on April 28, 2021, and has remained in custody since that time. He will appear in Brandon Provincial Court on February the 10th on all charges. And it goes on to say, Constable Gord Olson of the RCMP ICE unit is asking for the public for assistance on this investigation. We are very concerned there may be other victims, said Constable Olson. We are asking anyone with information to contact their local police department. The suspect used numerous Snapchat usernames. The names Centino used on Snapchat are King Mac 6675, It's J1, Brandon J 6493, JMEC 044, Private ACCN 2021, Neepawa NOYPI 20, and JCNTNO 2021. The 88 offenses levied against Centino include quite a few: luring a child times 34, make child pornography times 21, investigation to sexual touching times 8, sexual interference times 5, sexual assault times 5, make sexually explicit material available to a child times 5, failure to comply with release order times 5, transmitting child pornography, possessing child pornography, sexual exploitation of a child, obtaining sexual services for consideration, and finally, obstructing justice. That's not good. But this is good. Local photographer featured in Kinsman Courts 2 by Kira Patterson. A few familiar sights are adding new beauty to the walls of the new seniors housing facility in Neepawa. Large prints by Jody Baker Photography featuring stunning scenes from local locations are hanging throughout the common areas of Kinsman Courts 2. Jody Baker brought forth the idea to Kinsman Courts 2, and the facility was happy to partner with the local photography, as supporting local businesses is something they've been doing since the start. I had heard they were looking for decor for the facility, and I submitted a proposal to supply KK2 with local area photos printed on canvas, as I thought residents would enjoy seeing sites they knew, shared Baker. Kinsman Courts Executive Director Dana Menzies noted the seniors are really enjoying the local landmarks in the pictures. She added Jody's artwork is one of the final touches to make the facility feel like a home. Baker curated the collection of 28 images, making the final decisions on which photos to use together with Menzies. Choosing the photos wasn't easy, too many to choose from. Definitely Neepawa area was important and the primary focus of the project, Baker said. I also wanted to be sure to include Polonia for the residents from that area, the grain elevator in Oberon for the farmers to enjoy, and just visually interesting photos. The main contributor of funding for the project was Neepawa Home Hardware and Building Center, with part of the funding coming from KK2's general donations from the community. In addition to the decor, Baker also developed a brochure with details about each photo, encouraging residents and visitors to take a walking tour around the building to see them. She noted that there were several things that the walking tour idea helped to accomplish. I felt it was important for folks to know where each photo was taken, and as we weren't putting any plaques or descriptors on the walls by each print to indicate locations, the brochure was a great idea, explained Baker. The walking tour would provide residents and their visitors with an activity to get them up and moving about the facility, and perhaps to plan day trips to go to the physical locations as well. She added, my hope for the local area photos to bring familiarity and comfort for the residents, to bring back memories for them, to provide them with some stories to tell of back in the day. I just would like to really thank the Kinsman Courts Board for trusting me with this project, and particularly to Dana for all her assistance and guidance, and Jeff Michaluk, the maintenance man for KK2, for all his work getting the photos in place throughout the facility. I hope the residents enjoy the photos and their trips down memory lane. And these are just a few of them. First of all, this is Jody Baker and Dana Menzies. They posed together in front of the photographic prints from Jody Baker Photography. The full collection on display at Kinsman Courts 2 makes up a walking tour for residents and guests. Here we have a picture, creative perspective of the railway tracks near the High Life Back 40 Bike Park. And here the pops of color in these photos by Jody Baker are sure to catch the eye of those who walk through Kinsman Courts 2. This is a sunny fall day at Riverbend Park, allowing the trees of brilliant gold to be reflected beautifully in the water. And here shades of pink and purple dance among the clouds above the white mud river. Very nice. All right, travel and entertainment section. A new boutique opening soon in Minnedosa by Kira Patterson. Another local option is soon to be added to Minnedosa's shopping scene. Lisa Buchanan and Krista Powell, owners and operators of Gold Leaf Events, are expanding their event planning business into retail. The pair will be opening Gold Leaf Boutique in the coming weeks, located at 39C Main Street in Minnedosa. Powell and Buchanan have been working together running Gold Leaf events since 2019, doing planning for events such as weddings, festivals, vendor markets, and more. They noted that they had been discussing branching out into retail for quite a while. The opportunity came to us in January, and we decided to jump at it, they shared. The building that they will be opening in is the former location of the Minnedosa Recreation Office, but they noted that there wasn't much work involved in turning it into a store. We have been very lucky that the only thing we have had to do is paint and furnish the space. Buchanan and Powell explained that they plan to showcase Manitoban and Canadian-made products at their boutique. We want to support the local makers as well as offer our community another place to shop at. We want to be the place to go for gifts, home decor, and more. We also want to complement what is already here in Minnedosa. We don't want to compete. We want to give the community more options to shop in town. We're also focusing on bringing in a lot of Canadian, eco-friendly, and reusable products such as True Earth laundry detergents, bamboo products, Nikki Canada household products, and chemical-free cleaning products. They will also be sharing the store space with a couple of their other endeavors, Gold Leaf Events and Buchanan's photography business, 88 North Photography. The opening date is set for February the 12th, just in time for some last-minute Valentine's Day gift shopping. We are very excited to open our doors and be a part of our amazing local business community and a part of the Westman business community. And here we have a picture of Lisa Buchanan and Krista Powell, who are the owners. And down here, the windows of the boutique remain covered while the interior's makeover gets completed. So look for that, the opening February 12th. Oh, that's great. All right, Spruce Plains RCMP report by Corporal Jacob Stanton. During the week of January 24th to the 30th, Spruce Plains RCMP dealt with 63 police activities. On January 24th, RCMP received a report of a person failing to comply with a court order in Bethany. After investigation, the matter was deemed unfounded. Police responded to a report of theft from a storage locker in Minnedosa, where there was also insufficient evidence to proceed further. January 25th, RCMP responded to a report of a missing young youth who had run away from their home in Neepawa. Police and the fire department searched extensively, and the youth was located and transported to the hospital for frostbite treatment. Police responded to 2 alarms, one in Neepawa at a business and the other at a residence in Minnedosa. Both were determined to be false. On January 26, RCMP received a call about a theft that occurred overnight at a residence in Gladstone. A garage was broken into and a welder was stolen. There was insufficient evidence to proceed further. Police received a report of harassing communications in Minnedosa. The subject of complaint was spoken to and warned for their actions, and the complainant declined to proceed further. On January 27th, RCMP responded to a single vehicle rollover in the RMM of North Cypress, Langford. There were no injuries and the vehicle was towed. Police received a report of a hit and run to a vehicle in Minnedosa, but there was insufficient evidence to proceed further. On January 28th, RCMP responded to a 2-vehicle collision in Neepawa, which was caused by one of the vehicles changing lanes when it wasn't safe to do so. There were no injuries and both vehicles were still drivable. Police received a report of threats being uttered in Rapid City, which was later determined to be unfounded. On January 29th, RCMP were dispatched to a single vehicle collision in the municipality of Glenella Lansdowne. The driver lost control of the vehicle and hit a highway sign. A ticket for driving imprudently was issued. Police conducted various proactive traffic engagements and enforcements with several motorists. On January 30th, RCMP received a report of an abandoned truck in the RM of Minto O'Donnell. Police attended and discovered the vehicle was stolen. No one was located in or around it, and the vehicle was towed. Police received a 911 hang-up call in the RM of Minto O'Donnell. Police attended and found it had been dialed accidentally. RCMP conducted 23 traffic enforcement actions during this reporting period. This week, out of Helen's kitchen, Helen Drysdale has the title Jean's Recipes. My sister Jean Gagnon Sinclair passed away suddenly last week. A beautiful soul with a compassionate, kind, gentle, and loving heart. She left the world a better place, and she was a gift to her family with her beautiful smile and laughter. We will all miss her wisdom and the time she patiently gave away with her vet help and vet advice. Her famed broccoli salad and her seafood dip that she brought to every gathering. Today's recipes are the 2 recipes that we had the privilege to share in. And you can go online to get Jean's broccoli salad recipe and Jean's layered seafood dip recipe. The Rural Outlook page, the first one is called Manitoba Beef Producers Gears Up for the 43rd AGM by Casper Werhan. Another year has come and gone, meaning the Manitoba Beef Producers, or MBP, are once again ready to reflect. The MBP has scheduled its 43rd Annual General Meeting, or AGM, for Thursday, February 10th at 10 a.m. until approximately 4:20 p.m. Due to the current COVID-19 conditions, the AGM will be held virtually through Zoom. We miss all of the problem solving that goes on in the lunch and cocktail hour, so it was disappointing that we couldn't hold it in person, but I feel it was the right decision to make to pivot to a virtual format again this year, said MBP Vice President and District 8 Director Matthew Atkinson. The MBP has been working on updating some of its bylaws. The motions for those will be brought forward in the business portion of the AGM. However, Atkinson noted that there will be some valuable knowledge sessions as well. Several speakers have also been lined up for the event. Derek Johnson, the new Minister of Agriculture for Manitoba, Marie-Claude Bibeau, the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food, and Agri-Food Canada will all be providing greetings to those in attendance. Dixon Delorme, also known on social media as Quick Dick Big Dick, will be giving the keynote speech from Tufnell, Saskatchewan. He's got a really good lighthearted take on a lot of things, as well as having industry knowledge and being a great advocate in the industry for mental health, as well as many other things, said Atkinson. He just presents it in a way that makes it easier for a lot of people to have these conversations that a lot of the time nobody wants to have. He's gained quite a following, which is really good, and he uses that stage to showcase a lot of issues we're having in agriculture and prairie life in general. I think he's done a really good job of presenting quite a bit of that to the mainstream that may otherwise wouldn't understand it. Atkinson added, "We have less and less people in the industry all the time, more people in an urban center, and every opportunity we have to cross that divide and educate folks is a great thing. Anyone wishing to attend the MBP's virtual AGM are encouraged to pre-register via their website to make coordination easier. However, registration will be accepted until 10 a.m. on the day of the meeting. A draft of the AGM's agenda is also available on the website." Strike at Rolling River School Division is over, submitted by the Canadian Union of Public Employees. After 92 days on the picket line, custodians and cleaners at the Rolling River School Division are heading back to work. These workers have been on the front line keeping schools safe and clean, but were pushed to the picket lines for 3 months in the coldest weather, said Gina McKay, president of CUPE Manitoba. These workers stood for fairness and did not back down despite all odds. We are very proud of them. How did we get here? On January 4th, 2022, CUPE Local 1630 applied to the Manitoba Labour Board and asked them to help settle the dispute, either by the board or through a neutral arbitrator. On January 31st, 2022, the Labour Board issued an order to terminate the strike, reinstate the workers, and settle the provisions of a collective agreement. The parties can either appoint an arbitrator or the board will review the union and employers' proposals and aid in settling a new collective agreement within the next 90 days. We remain dumbfounded as to why this particular school division has refused to offer its custodians and cleaners the same as other school support staff across the province, said McKay. These workers deserve nothing less. The Rolling River School Division employed replacement workers throughout the strike, leading to substandard cleaning in schools across the region. Students at numerous schools joined the picket lines, calling on the school division to settle a fair agreement. The picket line was also joined by CUPE National President Mark Hancock, Canadian Labour Congress President B. Brusk, and countless other unions. Our members are happy to be getting back to the jobs they love and the students they care for, said McKay. The CUPE 1630 strike began on November 1st, 2021, and officially ended on February 1st, 2022. And here we have a very old picture. Not that old. Gladstone History, grade 1 and 2, class of 1952. the grade 1 and 2 scholars of 1952 at Gladstone. This photo was originally printed in a Gladstone publication dated to 1984. Looks like the girls all have on the same outfit. What's next? It's another agriculture article. Manitoba beef producers provides industry update by Casper Werhan again. The agricultural industry has seen a lot of changes in the past while. The Neepawa Banner and Press spoke to Manitoba Beef Producers, MBP, Vice President and District 8 Representative Matthew Atkinson for an industry update on January 31st. Atkinson noted that it didn't matter what part of the industry you were in, whether it's fluctuating prices or lack of accessibility to supplies you need, because there are supply chain issues on both sides. In the beef industry, we certainly rely on supply chain and various different products we purchase, just as well as being the ones who essentially put a raw material into a supply chain, Atkinson explained. So challenges have impacted us on both ends for sure, but we're optimistic going forward because cattle provide a lot of benefits to the landscape. Cattle being cattle, they also provide a supply of fertilizer, a resource that Atkinson reports is becoming unaffordable for a lot of people. The hope is that these circumstances leave another chance for livestock to showcase some of the benefits they can provide. We still have lots and lots of long challenges coming out of last year, having feed and pasture shortages, Atkinson added, noting that those conditions hit livestock numbers reasonably hard in Manitoba. Had we not seen a good shot of rain in August, it would have hit us a lot harder. But it's always a challenge, and it's a challenge to keep young producers as well as older producers engaged because of that. Advocacy on behalf of Crown land leaseholders is still a task that makes up quite a bit of the MBP's time, and Atkinson's personally as well. He noted that the MBP is also trying to work to get priorities related to Crown lands and other issues that have been discussed with the membership addressed. We're really hoping that the next year will bring some eased restrictions and some better weather to allow us to have more of those conversations with producers and our levels of government, said Atkinson. The weather throughout the winter brought some benefits. Right on the heels of a few years' drought, the snow received over the course of the season was a welcome sight. What's key now is that Mother Nature provides the right kind of thaw so that the full benefit can be seen from it, slow and steady. Last year there was such little snow and the melt so quick that not much could be gained from it. This year's melt is going to do a lot for water tables regardless, dugouts, well levels, and things like that. That's a concern for a lot of folks. It's a concern for myself personally too. But we do need that steady melt for it to benefit a lot in terms of crops, potential pasture growth for next year, and we still need some rain to come on the heels of that too to help there. The winter did bring some challenges too. It was a tougher winter this year with colder weather and a good amount of storm. As a result, it required a lot of farmers to feed their cattle more to keep them all warm, happy, and healthy. Due to the conditions throughout 2021 and stemming from the years prior, this was not an ideal situation. That's not what we wanted to see, as most folks don't have a lot of feed to spare after last year. I'm optimistic that some of the winter crops and fall rye and things like that, following some rains in August, were perhaps all safe and healthy under that big layer of snow. But our snowfall did come. I wouldn't say all that early for a first snowfall, but we did get a lot of snow all one shot to start with. A lot of folks like myself were relying on a lot of fall grazing to shorten our feeding season. We lost 3 weeks to a month off of that with those early snowfalls, and that's impacting how much feed we're going to go through on a whole throughout the winter. Once again, Atkinson stressed that the kind of melt Manitoba's spring weather brings will play a big part. As well, from this point on, we're not quite at our typical point for heavy winter snowfalls yet. We're going to expect that in March, our big old spring break storms and things like that. But we have a lot of snow around, and that is always the case when we have this much snow. We have lots of people on hills and lots of people on low places. And for all of their benefit, we really need the melt to be a nice steady one where that doesn't all disappear and impact a lot of folks by flooding. That's always a concern too. In his final thoughts, Atkinson said he's sure that most people out in the rural areas are already seeing changes due to the amount of snowfall received, noting snowbanks at the edges of roads in areas where some folks sometimes haven't been able to get out until it's been cleared. It's been a couple of years since we've been in situations like that, so we'll see what the rest of it brings, said Atkinson. Next, we have a picture of local members Dave McIntosh and Neil McFarland, Team Electronic owners. They have been named Business of the Year by Owen Devereaux. A cornerstone of Neepawa's business section for just over 30 years has been recognized by the Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce. Team Electronics was presented with the 2021 Business of the Year award during the Chamber's annual general meeting, which was held on Monday, January 3rd. The business permanently closed at the end of December as the ownership duo of Dave McIntosh and Neil McFarland decided it was time to retire. Ken Waddell, who nominated the business, announced the recipients during the AGM's virtual video conference. He noted that McIntosh and McFarland, along with the staff, have been a valuable local fixture for 33 years, and they will be missed. After the announcement was made, Chamber of Commerce Board President Carrie McPherson congratulated Team Electronics on their dedication and commitment to Neepawa for the past 3 decades. Dave McIntosh spoke on behalf of McFarland and the rest of the employees at the AGM and indicated that they were quite humbled to have received this recognition. We are really honored to have even been just mentioned for Business of the Year, said McIntosh. We've been pretty lucky for 33 years. It's been a long road, but I look back and think just how blessed we've been to be able to do business in a town that's been so well guided. McIntosh said that they were truly blessed to have been able to succeed and be a part of the town's business community for over 3 decades. 2021, a bounce back year financially for Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce by Owen Devereaux. 2021 was a return to financial form for the Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce, NDCC. The organization, along with Neepawa Tourism, hosted its annual general meeting on Monday, January 31st. For the second year in a row, the AGM had to be held via video conference due to the province's current COVID-19 gathering restrictions. The Chamber's financial report for the year indicated that they started 2021 with $12,695.08 in total assets and closed out the year with $16,343.61. Meanwhile, the total income that was tallied was $58,778, an increase from 2020, which was just $29,650. While a portion of last year's income was received through government grants, $22,738, the income amount brought in locally was still notably more than the previous year. Pam Miller, the past president for the Chamber, reviewed the financials at the AGM and said the numbers are a positive this year. It does look healthy. The year turned out pretty good because of the government grants, with the shop local campaigns that came in, said Miller. As of December 31st, we were sitting pretty healthy there. As well, our membership numbers are a bit higher than they were in 2020, which is very exciting. We definitely had some more uptake on the Chamber Bucks program. A lot of that goes hand in hand with the government grants and the shop local campaigns as well. In her State of the Chamber comments, NDCC President Carrie McPherson indicated that much like the previous year, 2021 was a challenge due to the situation with COVID-19. She said that was most evident in their inability to host local events, such as the annual Chamber Fair and the Christmas Parade. McPherson did note, however, that there were still positives to be happy with, such as the uptick in Chamber Bucks support, the local restaurants showcase, and return of the Business After 5 events. It was a challenging year, but with the support of the federal government, the Government of Manitoba, and the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce, we are very fortunate to support our Chamber members and our community once again this past year. We're looking forward to the year ahead and hope you'll consider joining the Chamber Board or a committee to enhance our fundraising initiatives and activities in our community, said McPherson. In his prepared statement, Neepawa Tourism Board Chair Owen Devereaux noted that 2021 felt as though it may have been a real step forward for the volunteer group. 2021 proved to be a turning point for tourism in a very positive way. The most significant endeavor we pushed forward was the inaugural Riverbend Market in July. The two-day artisans event, which was the brainchild of board member Kelsey Wilson, exceeded our modest expectations, said Devereaux. Another notable event was our drive-in movie night back in September. Maryland Crew led the way with that night, which featured 2 movie showings and ended up having about 130 cars full of moviegoers come out for those shows. Both those events were also fundraisers for local tourist-oriented attractions. A total of $4,562 was raised from the Makers Market for the Neepawa swimming pool and $1,489.50 for the Roxy Theatre. Some highlights for the year ahead include the return of the Makers Market in 2022, the unveiling of a mural artwork program, and the plans for 2 new events, the Rockin' the Riverbend Musical Showcase and Antiques Market. As for the tourism's financial outlook, Neepawa's Economic Development Officer Marilyn Crew provided an update. She noted the tourism budget's expenses were as follows: $35,631 in 2021, and income was $44,029. Now for the sports pages, emotional gut check time for the Titans by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson is hoping the team will be able to keep its emotions in check for the stretch run of the MJHL's regular season schedule. When the club is able to do just that, they're able to get the positive results they're looking for, like their 7-6 win over the Swan Valley Stampeders on Friday, January 28th. But when they don't, things like their 5-1 loss to those same Stamps the very next night become the end result. For the Friday night tilt at the Yellowhead Center in Neepawa, the Titans' offense was led by a fantastic effort by Cameron Trimble. The 20-year-old left winger had an amazing 6-point night with 3 goals and 3 assists. To cap off the evening, it was Trimble who scored the game winner for Neepawa just 33 seconds into overtime. Don't think, however, that this was a one-man show out there on the ice, as Jaeger Lapointe, 2 goals, 2 assists, and Dallin Wilton, 1 goal, 2 assists, also had multi-point nights. Parker Corman was credited with the other goal for the Titans. Carter Coburn had 3 goals. Adam Ward, Quinn Mulder, and Nick Roussel also collected goals for Swan Valley. Final shots on goal were 31-23 for Neepawa, and Emmerich Demers earned his 9th win of the season in goal for the Titans. These 2 squads would face one another once again on Saturday, January 29th, On that night, however, Neepawa's emotions got the worst of them as some undisciplined penalties and general frustration with the job done by the officiating led to a 5-1 loss. The game seemed to take a turn at the midway point of the first period when Cameron Trimble was tossed from the game due to a boarding penalty. Less than a minute later, Swan Valley's Nicholas Russell was assessed the same penalty and tossed, along with Neepawa's Cade Benson, who went home early due to a fighting major. Losing a pair of players for the night in less than 60 seconds just seemed to put Neepawa on the edge for the rest of the game, something Swan Valley took advantage of. The Titans ended up taking 8 penalties over the course of the game, surrendering 2 goals while on the penalty kill. In his post-game conversation with Wayne Jacobsen of NACTV, Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson said the team's mindset just wasn't the same from game to game. He said, "Our emotions were different tonight. Our emotions were just over our head on that penalty to Trimble, and we didn't do a good job of controlling ourselves. From that point on, I think our guys something happened that shift, and we were still worrying about it 2 shifts later instead of putting it behind us and moving on," said Pearson, who didn't wish to further elaborate on just what specifically the incident was in question. We talked in the pregame morning skate about playing with controlled emotion, but a couple of calls there just had us off balance, and Swan took advantage. Pearson acknowledged that he must also take a fair portion of the blame on this result, as he felt he didn't do as good of a job as he could have behind the bench to get everyone recentered and refocused. The Neepawa Titans had a weeknight game scheduled on Tuesday, February 1st against the Wayway Wolverines. This contest was postponed, however, due to the Alberta Clipper, which passed through the province, causing several road closures across the region. Moving ahead, the Titans will next face the Verdun Oil Capitals, who are 16, 17, and 3 with 35 points in their next 4 games. Verdun is just 1 point behind Neepawa in the standings, but have 3 games in hand on the regular season schedule. Pearson said the coaching staff has emphasized to the players that it's important and to just focus upon what they themselves have control over. "I told them that we control where we finish. We can't control what OCN does. We can't control what Swan does from here on out. We can't control what Verdun does, except when we play them. Our only focus right now is what's in front of us right now. We're not going to worry about Swan or Dauphin, just the game at hand, which we can control." The Neepawa Titans' next 2 home games will be against Verdun. The first will be on Friday, February 4th at 7:30 p.m. The next after that will be Saturday, February 12th. Both those games will have a 7:30 p.m. start time at the Yellowhead Arena. All right, next an article about the Neepawa Farmers by Owen Devereaux. It was mixed results for the Neepawa Farmers for their final 2 home games of the Tiger Hills Hockey League THHL regular season. On Tuesday, January 25th, the Farmers fell to the Cartwright Clippers by the score of 7-6. Clippers forward Jory Mullen scored 4 goals, including the game winner, with just 2 minutes left in regulation. A pair of goals from Bryce Enns and a single from Drew Height comprised the rest of Carberry's scoring on the night. As for Neepawa, the scoring was done by a committee with 6 different players scoring the 6 goals. Brett Lewandowski, Dalen Creasy, Ward Susky, Kyle McDonald, Brad Marshall, and Braden Gillies all registered goals for the Farmers. Fortunately, the Farmers would not dwell all that long on the defeat, as they would bounce back with a solid 6-4 win over Wawanesa Jets on Sunday, January 30th. Unlike the previous game, Neepawa's scoring was primarily from a single source, with Garrett Rempel scoring 4 times. Dalen Creasy and Kyle McDonald picked up the other goals to help power Neepawa to the win. To go along with his lone goal, McDonald also added 3 assists. Ward Susky also had a 3-assist game for the home side. With these recent results, combined with a pair of wins by the Clippers, the Neepawa Farmers are tied for third place with Cartwright in the Eastern Division. Neepawa is 9-3-2 on the year, while Cartwright is 10-3-0. The Clippers, however, still have one game in hand on the Farmers in the schedule. As for who is atop the standings, the Gladstone Lakers are 3 points clear of both teams at 11-2-1 on the season. The Lakers picked up a huge win on January 26 when they doubled up the Jets, Wanwanisa Jets 8-4. Johnny Bolio had 3 goals, and Scott Glenn had 2 goals and 2 assists, who led the way for the Lakers. Now, here we have a picture of Connor Breast. Connor Breast of the Neepawa Titans has been named the MJHL Safe Work Manitoba Defenseman of the Month. The 19-year-old from Forest Lake, Minnesota, had 9 points, 2 goals and 7 assists in 8 games for the Titans last month. Our monthly award winners include RBC Player of the Month Carter Coburn from the Swan Valley Stampeders, Farmery Brewery Goaltender of the Month Brett Mirald from the Wewesikapo Wolverines, IBAM Rookie of the Month Matthew Catalier of Selkirk Steelers, and finally the Manitoba Peak Performer Braden Foreman of the Winnipeg Blues. And also with a local connection. For the second time in as many weeks, a member of the Neepawa Titans has been named one of the Manitoba Junior League Hockey League Recycle Everywhere Stars of the Week. Cameron Trimble had 6 points, 3 goals and 3 assists in a pair of games for Neepawa over the weekend, including the overtime winning goal in the Titans' 7-6 victory over Swan Valley on Friday. This is his picture right here. This week's other stars include Troy Hamilton of the Winkler Flyers and Will Hambley of the Steinbach Pistons. Trimble's teammate Dallin Wilton was named an MJHL star last week. All right, next we have Carberry North Cypress Langford, Here and There by Gladwin Scott. Carberry Junior Varsity Boys had hoped to host a basketball tournament February 4th and 5th with the following teams: McGregor, Verdon, Ebb Flow, Boissevain, Cross Lake, Major Pratt, Neelan, and Carberry. The Cougars roster includes Dylan Hood, Nathan Dick, Nate Robson, Hayden Wilcox, Peter Hillman, Lexi Unraw, Alex Proden, Braden Bobier, Dade Pierce, Jackson Mueller, Jackson Ramsey, Madden Laverne, Ryan McCallum, Bryce Ham, Chris Unraw the coach, and Reagan Dick the manager. In basketball action at the Cougar Dome, January 25th, the Carberry Junior Varsity Boys downed Neepawa 54-39. Nate Robson fired 16 points and had 11 rebounds. Peter Hillman sank 14 points with 10 boards, while Nathan Dick added 8 points and collected a dozen rebounds. Dade Pierce was a defensive standout. In Neepawa the previous day, although Dylan Hood sank 20 points, the JV boys lost 60-55. In junior high basketball, Coach Darcy Kendall's girls edged McGregor 23-22, and Scott Brown's boys won 42-10. In high school curling, Skip Dahlia and Snaith's rink and edged host Neepawa boys 4-3. Zone curling playoffs are tentatively scheduled for Neepawa February 11th and 12th. Some rescheduled GCB Wildcats League games are as follows. February 12th at the Sportsplex against Vincent Massey at 6 p.m. February 19th at Carberry against Vincent Massey at 7 p.m. February 20th at Glenborough against Boys of Ainsurus at 7:30 p.m. March 4th at Carberry against Crocus Plains at 7 p.m. The West Bend High School Hockey League plans to start its playoffs after March 5th. The top 8 teams will compete in the championship round, and the next 8 teams will play in the consolation round. The bottom 2 teams will not participate. The first round will see 1st versus 8th, 2nd versus 7, 3rd versus 6th, and 4th versus 5 in a best-of-3 series. Jory Kulbaki scored twice, including an empty netter, with 12 seconds remaining to pace the Neepawa Tigers to a 6-4 victory over the GCB Wildcats at the Yellowhead Centre Wednesday, January 26. Tarek Lapointe had a goal and 3 assists. The Tigers led 2-1 and 4-2 at the intermissions. Dylan Hood paced the visitors with 2 markers and singles that were tallied by Jackson Mueller and Trey Dixon. Helpers were recorded by Deegan Campbell, Carson Nakanekni, Peyton Elliott got 2, Talon Graham, and Preston Shearer. The Pilot Mound Pilots received goals from 5 different players and 3 assists from Kyle Nixon, who also coaches at the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, en route to a 5-3 decision over the Carberry Plainsmen Friday, January 28th. The Pilots were ahead 1-0 and 4-1 at the intermissions. Replying for the Plainsmen were Tavish Quinn, Zane McConnell, and Brady Laycock. Recording assists were Brett Hammond, 2, John Davison, Jackson Stevens, Daniel Case, and McConnell. Des Ramsey and Connor Slip shared net mining duties. Scoro winners included Dave Myers and Gladwin Scott. Brad Davison won the 50-50 and donated it back to the Plainsmen. The next Carberry home game is Saturday, February the 5th with the Neepawa Farmers. Monique Brandt, the Association of Manitoba Museums Executive Director, has announced that the Wings to War Memorial Site has been chosen to receive an award for its excellence in community engagement. Congratulations to the many Carberry and area volunteers for this project. This is a picture of it right here. The Wings to War Memorial Site, which has been chosen to receive an award for its excellence in community engagement. Good for them. All right, Glenn McGregor of the Wawanesa Reno the Rink Fundraising Committee stated that $750,000 of the $1.2 million needed to replace the old Freon ice plant with the new ammonia system has been raised. Woohoo! Construction is planned to start in May 2022 with the completion date as September 2022. The new ice plant requires a separate building to be built on the north side of the current rink, the Wawanesa and District Recreation Center. Boys of Aim plans to construct a new swimming pool to open in 2023. The present pool was built in the 1960s. Wow, good for them. And the new pool is estimated to cost $2.2 million. Well, not many smaller communities like that had a pool since 1960s. The Glenborough Golf Club plans to celebrate its 100 years of operation in 2022. 2 members of the Glenborough Golf Club 100th Anniversary Committee include Alexis Einerson, who stated that they plan to have a series of events for the July 1st weekend, and Patrick Law, former area resident who is the current manager and club pro for the Minnedosa Golf Club, who wants information on the history of the Glenborough Golf Course and Club. The Souris Glenwood Foundation will be handing out $29,880 to 18 area groups. With the MJHL playoffs approaching, Waywaysacapa Wolverines have acquired the services of Joey Moffat, a former Portage Terrier who scored 68 points in 60 games back in 2019-2020. They got his playing rights from Estevan. This season, Moffat was playing in the NAHL with Anchorage. He was also the top pitcher in the 2020 Santa Clara Baseball League. He stated, "You only have 5 years in your junior career, and I want to be playing meaningful games in March, April, and May." Next, we have a couple of pictures to show you. Neepawa Gladstone Co-op employees give back. Recently, Neepawa Gladstone Co-op presented the 7 Regions Palliative Care and Neepawa Palliative Care programs, each with a donation of $1,111.50. Monetary donations by staff of Neepawa Gladstone Co-op are divided equally between the 2 programs annually. Over the past 7 years, the initiative has given back close to $13,000 to the palliative care programs. So here we have Glenda Finkowich, Human Resource and Health and Safety Manager, and Leah Ham, 7 Regions Palliative Care Coordinator, and Derek Edwards, who is the Gladstone Branch Manager, and Eva Berman Wong, Chairperson for 7 Regions Palliative Care Committee. And in this picture, we have Shayna Fluker, the Human Resource Payroll Coordinator, Mary Ellen Clark, the Neepawa Palliative Care Coordinator, and Glenda Finkowich, the Human Resource Health and Safety Manager. Next, we have a picture of a snow sculpture. There are lots of wintertime activities at Riding Mountain National Park. One young skater here was getting some exercise on town site skating trails located between the Visitor Center and the RMNP Administration Building on Saturday, January 29th. And this is a rabbit snow sculpture that can be seen at Wasagaming. All right, what else? All right, now here's a local person I'm familiar with. OSU's Lara Dembo wins high jump at UW Invitation. So let's read this by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa's Lara Dembo recently made it to the top of the podium for the Oregon State University track and field team at the University of Washington Invitational in Seattle, Washington. The OSU freshman finished first in the women's high jump with a successful attempt at 1.73 meters. That's 5 feet 8 inches. That was a personal best for Dembo at an indoor event. Dembo and the rest of the OSU track and field team will next compete in Spokane, Washington for the Washington State University Invitational on February 3rd to 5th. Wow, good for her. Rotary. Okay, on Wednesday, January 26, 22 members of Neepawa Rotary were invited to tour Kinsman Courts 2, followed by a delicious lunch. Pictured here is Rotary President Wayne Jacobsen presenting a $15,000 check to Kinsman Courts board member Grant Lucan and Executive Director Dana Menzies towards the cost of furnishings in the building. This amount was from the proceeds of the Rotary auction that was held recently. And here, Pins and Pels supply cheer to Third Crossing Manor. Once again, the Pins and Pels Quilt Guild was able to present 2021 Christmas bags to the residents of Third Crossing Manor with the help of local service clubs and individual donations. The items were purchased in Plumas and Gladstone and were delivered to the activity department, where they were filled by TCM staff. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, we were not able to present the bags in person. One of the residents dressed as Santa and helped the activity department staff make the deliveries. The residents are so appreciative. Pins and Pals would like to thank everyone for their donations to this very worthwhile cause. And I'll just go back and read a little bit more. We have just a little bit of time left. Let's see. Let's read Rita Friesen again. Curious and curiouser. Found a new word for my vocab carking Old English adjective meaning troublesome, worrying, some carking care that would not be driven away, Dickens, of persons fretting, anxious. My use, these indeed are carking times. So much better than what my gut wants to shout. The strong divide created by the pandemic has me carked. I try not to use this forum as a place for my political opinions, though I freely speak of my faith journey and decisions. I try to remain non-political. Try being the operative word, for I know my reflections reflect me. This I will share. One of my children was not actively anti-vax, a procrastinator, but not anti. Yes, over 60. Yes, underlying health issues. Yes, one of my children. And so the hurt goes deep as I watch a slow recovery. The journey of a long hauler is not easy. Fatigue, mind fog, insomnia, loss of appetite, and a desperate lack of energy. The combination that creates the perfect storm for anxiety and depression. One of those who was airlifted to a central hospital, intubated and kept comatose, one of those who now lives with such deep regrets for the cost to the health system, one who knows the concern that all friends and family bore, and now such a slow recovery. Hospitalized back in September 2021, still not able to work or even play well. How does the curious and curiouser come in? Several of my grandchildren, even after watching their parents suffer and truly face death, watching their parent not being able to cross the living room without pausing to rest on the walker seat, watching their parents' clothing hang loosely on the body that lost 30 pounds, still declined to take the vaccine. I accept it is every person's right. I accept that society, that's you and me, will cover the hospital costs for everyone who needs the services, preventable or not. Curious and curiouser? The pandemic is not the only topic today that has me carking. I can only watch the news once a day, and not before bedtime. How have we not, as a thinking advanced society, learned from history? A social media funding system created millions of dollars in an account for freedom. How that amount could assist those whose entire life has been existing in a refugee camp, or the homeless in our nation, or clean drinking water for the many First Nations communities that have never had clean water, not to mention the tension between Russia and the Ukraine. How can we not long for peace for all people? How can we not long for justice and mercy? Now, have we become so complacent and self-contained? Where is the caring that formed our nation? How did we lose our values for community? Curious. I do see the many acts of kindness that meet the needs of others. I applaud each gentle word and kind deed. I search my wealth and talents to find ways to encourage and walk with those who walk alone. It is all I can do, and that is carking. Okay, this week I'm going to read Beating the Misery, Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. This past January the 18th, the Fraser Institute of Canada released its 2022 Misery Index. Using a formula devised by economist Arthur Okun, Institute researchers looked at the combined effects of high unemployment and rising inflation on Canadian citizens. They then compared their findings with those from 34 other industrialized countries. Of the 35 industrialized countries profiled, Canada ranks 6th behind Spain, Greece, Italy, Iceland, and Sweden. In 2021, Canada's inflation rate stood at 3.2%, fourth highest among the 35 countries. The unemployment rate was 7.7%, eighth highest of the 35. The study also noted that at the end of 2021, Canada's unemployment rate remained stubbornly high, and that is the Institute's view. The inflation rate is not expected to decline notably for at least another year. The data contained in the Fraser Institute report gives us the big picture. It does not share examples of how unemployment and inflation affect individuals and families who live in different parts of this country. To gather this data, researchers need to speak with ordinary people like you and me. They will hear many heartbreaking stories of people who are struggling to adapt to a new normal way of life. I will be the first to admit that coping with COVID-19 and its impact has not been easy. I have lost a small part of my income thanks to COVID-19. Like you, I have had to absorb the higher costs of fuel, food, and consumer foods. Some of the goods I required have not been available when needed, adding to the frustration I have felt. And I have ridden the emotional roller coaster between elation and depression as I followed the provincial case recounts, read about COVID-19 related deaths, adjusted to new public health orders, and tried to keep my rants and ravings about people and the pandemic to myself. Throughout this process, I have come to see the importance of two character traits, both of which, in my view, are not as prevalent in our society as they should be. The first is contentment, a feeling of satisfaction with who we are, what we do, where we live, and what we have. A key component of contentment is a willingness to adapt to the demands that we change how we go about our daily lives. Change is sometimes forced on us by circumstances beyond our control. And it means accepting the consequences of the choices we make along the way, especially if one of those choices is a refusal to comply with measures intended to protect ourselves and others from harm and danger. The second trait is compassion, a feeling of sympathy, care, and concern for those hit hardest by the difficulties we are all facing. These people are not difficult to find. They have minimum wage jobs, face higher than average housing costs, and often must work at 2 part-time jobs just to make ends meet. They cannot afford to be unemployed or pay significantly higher prices plus taxes for fuel, food, and consumer goods. During his time on earth, Jesus identified with the lowest classes of society. That was easy for him to do. He was one of them. He did not criticize these people for the state in which they found themselves. The Gospels tell us that he was filled with compassion and did all he could to help them. He would want us to be content with what we have and show the same compassion to others. And with that, I think I will close off our paper. We are done for this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. So, on that note, I will say goodbye for now. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.